Let me give you an example of how sometimes people in the past saw commanding or enjoining the good. The story I narrated to you at the beginning of Ata ibn Abi Rabah is actually transmitted by a scholar known as Asmai. And he was a linguist, a scholar, an absolute into his poetry and everything. And what happens is in his time, he was in the time of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, and you've all probably heard of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. Yeah, he was the caliph of, one of the early caliphs of the Abbasi dynasty. Now, in his time, Abu Ja'far was really into all the knowledge, and he used to be into learning about stuff and learning about fiqh and learning about poetry. He loved poetry. But then, you see, the poets then, obviously, they worked hard for their poetry, so they thought that, if they wrote a poem for you, you had to pay them. So he didn't want to really part with his money. So he's one of those that I don't mind the poetry, but don't really want to pay for it type of thing. So what happens is he puts out this claim that anybody who brings me a poem that I haven't heard of, right, with the condition I haven't heard of it, whatever they've written it on, I will give them the weight of that in gold. Sounds very enticing, right? We've got some poets here, Allahu Akbar, right? So the thing is, poets got to it. They started working on it, started writing their poetry. Now, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, what they didn't know is he had a photographic memory. I mean, if you read a poem to him, he could just repeat it back to you just like that. So, and then in his court, amongst many of his servants and slaves, he had a slave boy that had the memory, a solid memory, that if he heard something twice, he could repeat it back to you. And he had this one girl amongst his court that if she heard something 3 times, she could repeat it back to you. So what he would do is he would have them kind of waiting behind a curtain. And these poets would come, they've worked really hard, they've written this, come up with this poetry, this qasida, and he would say, yeah, na'am, iqra, and they would kind of say their thing. He'd listen to it. It's beautiful. But you remember the condition, yeah? I couldn't have heard it before. They say, yeah, that's fine. He goes, but I've heard this before. I say, what are you talking about? He said, look, I'll repeat it back to you. I've heard this since a while. Look, I'll repeat it. So you'd repeat it back. And then the person would think, whoa, wait a minute, I just wrote that. He said, you know what, let me convince you. He said, go call for that slave boy of mine, go call for him. So that guy who's waiting behind the curtain would come round. And the first line of a poem is called a matla. So he'd say, have you heard of this poem with this matla? And the guy would say, yeah, I've heard of it. He'd say, go and read it. And the guy would read it. So the poet would be like, whoa. And he'd say, you know what? I don't think that's quite convinced you. Wait there. Go call for that girl. And she would be waiting behind the curtain. She would come forward. He'd say, have you heard of this matla, this poem? And she would say, yeah. He'd say, all right, go and read it. And she would read it. So the poet would be just astounded that, what the hell is this? What's going on? I just came up with that. I mean, how the hell did they actually manage to... Damn. So that's it. He would go. So he wouldn't get no money. His efforts gone to waste. So anyway, this went on and on and on for a while. So all these poets have got together. So they've got together and they're kind of crying and, going, this guy's ripped us off and everything. And along comes Asmai, who's a legend. He's a don in poetry. He comes along and he says, look, what's going on? And they say, this is what's going on. He says, seriously, is that what he's doing? He says, all right. I got this, don't worry about it. So what he does is he dresses up as a Bedouin and he goes to the courts of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. And he goes, yeah, I'm a Bedouin and I've come with a poem. And he goes, yeah. He goes, but what's the condition? He says, the condition is I've heard this before, remember that? He goes, all right, cool. He goes, what do I get if you haven't? Whatever you've written on, it's weight in gold. All right, cool. He says, all right. He says, cool. He says, this is called Sawtu Safir al-Bulbuli. That's the matla. That hayyaja qalbi al-thamali. That means that the chirping of the nightingale has kind of moved my intoxicated heart. So he says, all right, go for it. So he says, الماء والزهر معا مع زهر لحظ المقلي. So he's listening, okay. He goes, فأنت يا سيدي لي وسيدي ومولي لي فكم تيمني غزيل عقيق لي قطفته من وجنة من لثم ورد الخجل فقال لا 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 وقد غدا مهرولي والخود مالت طربا من فعل هذا الرجل فولولت وولولت ولي يا ويل لي فقلت لا تولولي وبين اللؤلؤ لي والعود دندن لي والطبل طب لي طب لي والسقف سق لي والرقص قد طاب لي. He said, and just when you think it can't get worse, he says, والناس ترجم جملي في السوق بالقلقلة والكل كعكعي خلفي ومن حويللي لكن مشيت هاربا من خشية العقنقل إلى لقاء ملك معظم مبجل أنا العديب الألمعي من حي أرض الموصل نظمت قطعا زخرفت يعجز عنها الأدب لي أقول في مطلعها صوت صفير البلبل. So Abu Ja'far's like, what the hell did he just say? His jaw has dropped right down. He's thinking, what the hell was that? All I got was Sawtu Safir al-Bulbuli. I mean, so he goes, yes, yeah, Amir al-Mu'mineen. You know, what say you? Does that pretty much fit your criteria? He goes, all right, just wait there. He says, go call for that boy, see if he's around. So he turns up, he goes, have you heard of this Sawtu Safir al-Bulbuli? I go, hell no. He says, all right, wait there. He says, go call for that girl. She turns up. He says, have you heard of this poem, Sawtu Safir I ain't heard of Sawtu Safir al-Bulbuli. So he's like, damn. All right, so I've got to pay this one out. So he says, all right then. He says, go on then, bring what you've written it on. He goes, yeah, Amir al-Mu'mineen, I'm a Bedouin, I don't really have much possessions. I only inherited a pillar of marble from my father. So I wrote it on this pillar of marble. And so he says, what? He says, you wrote it on what? Pillar of marble. He says, go on then. He says, but I need about 4 people to help me carry it. It's outside, by the way. So now, obviously, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur has to do that. So he brings it in, they weigh it, and it's costing him almost the entire treasury. So then, and he's got to hand it, and there's all these witnesses. He's thinking, boy. And so he gives it to him, and then somebody says, I think I recognize that Bedouin. That's Asmai. So he says, that's Asmai. He says to him, are you Asma'i? Because Asma'i, they'd heard of Asma'i. I mean, he was a linguist. He was a legend in poetry. And he says, yeah. He says, look, you hid your identity from me and this and this and this. And Asma'i says to him, listen. He says, it's reached me what you've been doing to these poets. And he says, this isn't right. That this is their haqq. That these people work hard for what they do. It is a talent. And you deprive them. And he said, what I will do, he said, I'll give you this gold back. You can have it back. But you promise me that every person that has written a poem for you, that they will get their due. And he said, okay. He said, these people are my witness. I will do that. And he left. And this takes us back to that perspective. He could have landed with you're the Amirul Mu'mineen, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ. And those who do not govern or judge by what Allah has, then فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. He could have tried that approach. He was in the time of the Salaf. Did he? No. He went there. In fact, almost you could say engaged. Was it about him? Did he have the knowledge? Was the objective correct? It did serve its purpose. Sometimes we have to go back to questioning and inquiring about what and why are we actually doing this. These are my thoughts for tonight. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all the tawfiq to reconnect with this amazing legacy we have. And we seriously do have an amazing legacy. Jazakumullah al-khair for coming. Once again, I'd like to thank the people that have arranged this for bringing such, mashallah, esteemed guests. And we've got poets and the legend, Imam Siraj, here today. I'm somebody who is definitely and has served as an inspiration to myself and I'm sure to everybody here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them all. And Jazakumullah al-khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala.
Salam wa rahmatullah. Can you teach me that poem?
I will do.
Well, we're going to stick with poetry.